Happy Thursday, everyone. We got a cool little work set coming at you. A little smaller volume for you today. Kind of. We'll say kind of. But it's more kind of along the lines of working on some skill and position work. So you can take this a couple different ways, and we'll explain that as we get to the work set. But the warm-up today is going to be another three-parter. We've got 3 different little triplets here. Plank down dog, 3 to 5 reps into a PVC Prone Raise for 3 to 10 seconds. Wide stance good morning with side lunge for 2 reps, and take that down for 3, and then repeat 2 to 3 rounds. From there, our next little triplet, plank to bear squat, 3 to 5, floor facing angel hold for 3 to 5 or 3 at 5 seconds, and then you'll do a narrow squat to regular squat. And I'll show you what that's all about, and we can have some fun with that today with some footwork challenges. You got 3 reps there. You're gonna hit that little triplet up for 2 to 3 rounds. Our last triplet is a plank to down dog with toe touch, 3 to 5 reps, laying arm extension for 5 to 10, and a foot assisted pistol for 5 aside for 2 to 3 rounds. Take that through. That is going to get you well prepared and prepped for what's to come in terms of our work set. It's also going to give you guys a chance just to play around with some different upper body and lower body skills, working on opening up the hips, the knees, the shoulders, all that good stuff after the week that we've had so far. The work set today is 10 rounds. Woo! 10 rounds. Here it is. We have 15 air squats into plank lean for 2 to 2 shoulder touches. So that would be 1 rep. Lean, lean, touch, touch, and you do that 5 times. And then you repeat that whole sequence 10 times. So you got a few different squat variations there. You got quite a bit of volume in the squat, but we got a nice chunk of upper body and core work to play with for that shoulder touch work. So a couple things you can play with today. You can make your primary focus about the plank lean and shoulder touch. So you're going to work on that good active core position throughout the shoulders, taking a little extra time per se, feeling that lean to transition your weight before the shoulder touch, and then move through. And then use the squats as a chance of recovery for the upper body. So not worrying about how fast those squats go, but working it for quality and just taking a little extra time, maybe even adding a tempo into those 15 squats, just to give your upper body and core a little bit of a break. Or you can just blast it through. Still working for quality, of course, but pushing those air squats, getting a little bit more kind of cardio response in this work set, maybe having to break up those plank lean to shoulder touches eventually because you're pushing that envelope on that edge of your line that you can handle. So play around with some different things. You guys have some fun with it. I'm also going to put some different rep ranges up there as well. So we have some options for some reps, or some rounds, I should say. But it's yours. Have some fun with it. See how you're feeling today and attack it the way you want. But let's get you warmed up first. Go through this nice little list of work and see where it takes us. All right, let's get our feet under those hips. We'll take the arms big and tall overhead. Let's stretch it out. Big reach. Oh, big reach. Oh, yeah. Scratch your back and reach through the elbow. Come back up, big stretch. Scratch your back and reach through the elbow. Oh yeah, one more time, big stretch up. Take it out to the T. We're going to turn them in and out, and in, and out, and in, and out. Big stretch. And again, bring those hands down behind the neck, pulling those ribs in, squeezing those glutes. Let's reach an elbow, come back down, reach an elbow, and back down. Reach an elbow, back down, reach an elbow, and down. 2 more. Elbow, down, and elbow, and back down. Big stretch overhead, big reach, big reach. Let's bring those hands to the hips and step our feet to our squat stance, or our sumo stance, sorry. We'll turn a toe directly to the side, one leg on the angle. We'll bring our hand to the thigh and our arm up to the sky. We'll pull the hip back, taking that hip back to that back heel, reaching that arm up, and then taking that arm back to the sky. So nice and slow, opening up that side body, making sure everything feels good. And one more time, take it back, and come back up. Good, we'll turn those toes, big high five. We'll take it to the other side, hand to the thigh, big reach up. Pull the hip back, and bring it back up. Good, and pull back, and back up. One more time, pull that hip way back into that heel, keep that arm reaching, back up, turn the toes, big high five, and bring those hands to the hips, feet a little in, and take those hips around. Nice and easy. Just make sure things feel good, moving well, and we'll go the other way. Excellent. And we'll come back to center. We'll get you guys ready to go. All right, if you'd like to pause the video and take down a little bit more gentle kind of warm up, please do. Cat-cow, thread the needles, whatever you need to do for yourself. Some wrist work per se, that's not a bad idea. I'm gonna get you guys moving in that first little triplet, which is gonna kickstart off with our plank to down dog. So our plank to down dog is again something we do often because it's a really nice way to warm up the core, warm up the shoulders through a whole full range of motion, and also gets us engaging through that lat to help stabilize the shoulder in terms of things we like to do with hanging and overhead work. So it's a nice way to train that stabilization through the shoulder in a very controllable manner. So let's get ourselves set up in our plank. So nice and strong here, we're gonna pull our ribs and hips in, press our shoulders to the sky, and from here, we're gonna maintain that good active shoulder position as we pull those hips back and up, softening the knees and the ankles if you need to, and then come back in. And as you get more kind of proficient with this, as we reach that plank, we wanna already be in that hollow and those shoulders to the sky. So we pull back, maintaining that position. We go into that extension through the back, and then we come back in, pulling those ribs and hips in, pressing those shoulders up, and finding that good hollow position. So it's okay if you can't quite fully get that good core engagement as we come back to the plank, but it's something to work for and strive for. So play with it, have some fun with it. If you're like, I gotta get to the plank, reset, and go that way, that's also fine. Just make sure we do that, and we set those positions well. The next exercise is that PVC Prone Raise. I cannot speak more highly enough about this exercise. Super good for the shoulders and the core. So we get ourselves set up, arms are out to the straight to the front, toes to the back. I'm gonna squeeze my toes together and press them gently into the floor. I'm gonna squeeze and tuck my ribs and hips, squeezing those glutes as well, pushing those arms and those armpits down towards the floor, pressing those palms down to the ground. And from here, I'm gonna reach my arms out and lift just those arms, maintaining that good hollow and maintaining that good position the whole time. And relax. Remembering that it's not so much about how high I get my arms off the ground. That will come over time. What matters is maintaining that good hollow position through our mid-back, through our ribs, our hips, and then allowing that shoulder to stay nice and strong as we lift the arm off the floor and not dumping into that shoulder as we start to move. So take your time with that. Don't worry about the height. Take it as high as you can maintain your position. Our lower body focus in this triplet is going to come up to a nice wide stance position. So I'm going to get myself standing nice and tall, nice wide stance. I'm going to squeeze my glutes. I'm going to pull my hips back, taking my upper body to about a 45 or a 90 degree, and then I'm going to squeeze and come back up. From here, I'm going to take my hip to my heel into that side lunge. So taking my hip down towards my heel, trying to focus on that good squat mechanic that I know and love. Chest is high, knee tracks the toe, body's up, and I stand tall. The whole time I do this, I'm squeezing my glutes to help stabilize through the knee, focusing on that tall chest. I can reach if I need to help keep that body upright, and then I come back to standing. I'll do a couple reps from the side as well. So I turn to the side, same wide stance. My feet are flat, my big toe is down. I squeeze my glutes. I pull my hips back, keeping my knees soft. My midsection and body stays over my laces, and then I stand tall. From here, I open up the hips, and then I pull the hip back, taking my hip down as deep as I can maintain good tall body position. Standing tall, and then taking it back down, and then standing tall. Again, great exercise to help open up the hips and the ankles. I've noticed a tremendous change in my squat, having done and getting more proficient with that side lunge as I get deeper and deeper. Quick recap for the first triplet: plank to down dog 3 to 5, PVC Prone Raise 3 at 10 seconds, wide stance good morning to side lunge for 2, 3 times, and then 2 to 3 rounds through that work set. Pause the video, take down that triplet, really work it well, you guys. We're gonna move into the next phase, which is gonna build off of that first one. So our next one starts with our plank to bear squat. And the key thing here is keeping our shoulders in that same position we are working on throughout our down dog. The only difference is I'm gonna stay low and I'm not gonna go into that extension through my back. So what's gonna happen, I'm gonna get myself set up in my plank. My feet are gonna be about a squat distance or hip width, depending on my range of motion. I'll pull my ribs and hips in, press my shoulders to the sky, and I'm gonna pull my hips back into that bear squat position and come back into my plank. So I pull those hips straight back towards my ankles. My armpits are pointing down towards the floor. My knees stay off the ground, but I'm actively pressing into the floor with those hands gripping and maintaining that good strong shoulder position. Keep in mind, we don't need to see your hips right between your ankles. Your ankle flexibility, your hip mobility, shoulder strength is going to be all a determining factor in how deep you get into that. So I want you to work into that edge. Don't work beyond your positioning, and make sure we're working on getting to that edge with good shoulder positioning, because that's what's going to help strengthen and open those things up over time. After our plank to bear squat, what we're going to do is lay on the floor again. We're going to work through that floor facing angel. So really tapping into the shoulder today. The hands are going to be beside the chest. My wrist is stacked underneath my elbow. I'm going to pull my ribs and hips in so I get that nice hollow position. And then I'm going to squeeze my shoulders together, pulling my hands off the ground. And I'm going to hold that position for 5 seconds. If you can't quite get the full 5, that's fine. 3 to 5 is enough. Another addition you can add into this is if you'd like to set it up like we do our humeral glide to knee push-up, you can do the humeral glide so the shoulders come forward where we don't want them. We pull them back to where we do. We pull the ribs and hips in. Then we pull the shoulders back to lift the hands. So if you'd like to add that piece in, there's nothing wrong with adding in that humeral glide. It's going to give you a chance to heat the shoulder up a little bit, to move it in its range of motion. Plus, it's going to give you a chance to set the shoulder in its proper position before we squeeze the shoulders together and back. So just a quick thing from the side. If I was to add in a humeral glide, my shoulders would come forward where I don't want them. I pull them back and set them. Elbows stacked over top of the wrist. And then I pull my shoulders back, keeping my wrist and elbow position the same the entire time I squeeze my shoulders back, which is going to help really open up that engagement through that upper back. And we don't necessarily, again, have to worry about how high we get, but maintaining that core position, shoulder position, as we try and lift the hands as high as we can. They may still touch the floor, and that's okay. From there, we're going to stand up nice and tall, and we're going to work on a little hybrid movement. You can take it down any way you'd like, which we're going to work on a narrow squat to regular squat. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can play with this. So my narrow squat is going to be anywhere in my regular squat stance. It doesn't have to be right together. I'm going to stand up nice and tall. My knees will track the toes. My hips are going to travel towards my heels, keeping that body upright. And then I stand tall. And then I just adjust my feet to my squat stance. And then I squat down. Same mechanics, except I have a slightly different stance. We're hoping that after we do those narrow squat, that regular squat stance feels a little bit more open, a little freer in the ankles and the hips. But if you like to play around with this, you can kind of turn this into a little hybrid kind of flow work set. So you can work on squatting, standing, and squat. And then working on a nice little flow. You can kind of change it up between the feet. The only catch to this one is we have to make sure that we're hitting our proper regular stance every single time. So if you like to play with that, play, have some fun. Alternate sides, have some fun, work on that coordination, see where it takes you today. Or if you're like, no, I just need to work on squat, stand, set my feet, squat, stand, set my feet, that's also fine. But if you like to play, have some fun with it and enjoy. Quick recap, we have a plank to bear squat for 3 to 5 reps, floor facing angel hold for 3 reps, anywhere from a 3 to 5 second hold into our narrow squat to regular squat for 3 times through. So that's 6 squats in total with that narrow to regular. 2 to 3 rounds there. Pause the video, take that down, work on those skills, have some fun, get yourself ready to go. We have one more piece before we get into the work set, and we're gonna have some fun with that one now. So our first set takes place with that plank to down dog again with our toe touch this time. So we're taking one hand away and we're playing around with stabilizing that single arm position. So I get myself set up in my plank. I pull my ribs and hips in, press my shoulders to the ceiling. I pull back into that good down dog, softening my knees, softening my ankles. I set my shoulders, and then I take my hand to the floor, to my toe. I want to make sure that I'm stable and I'm strong through that shoulder before I take that hand off the ground. So really focus on that shoulder position. If you can't quite touch the toes, that's fine. I just want you to reach for that toe. If balance is an issue, what you can also play with, I had my feet pretty narrow in that set right there. If you want to have your feet similar to your bear squat, a little bit further away, about a hip width to a squat stance, you'll find you'll have a better base of support for when you take that hand off the ground, and you might feel a little less tippy than when you would. So you'll go nice and smooth, plank into that down dog, touch, touch, come back, set up your good plank, and continue on. Our last kind of upper body focused exercise in our warm-up is our laying arm extension for 5 to 10 reps. So I'm gonna lay on my stomach. I'm gonna get myself set up with my hands back by my hips. My ribs and hips are gonna come in, my shoulders are pulled back, and I'm gonna lift just my arms, keeping them straight towards the ceiling. I wanna make sure those shoulders stay back like they are in that floor-facing angel and our humeral glide to knee push-up position. So another thing we practice this week, we play with, is if you'd like to add in that swimmer stretch position, you can add that in and play around with that as well. So if you'd like to add that in, if you found that very challenging, or if you're like, ooh, I really like that, all right? It's a good challenge. Again, my right side's super tight. I don't have as much range as my left, so it's something I have to work on and take my time with. It's not meant to be quick, so if you're adding that piece in, definitely give yourself the time to do it properly and don't rush that one. So you can add that in for 5 to 10 reps and see where it takes you. Our next exercise, the last of this last triplet, is a foot-assisted pistol. So setting up to the side so you guys can see, you take one toe behind as a little kickstand. My hips are square to the front. I squeeze my glutes. I stay nice and tall. And I'm going to try and keep my weight plastered through that midfoot, but that big toe of that bouncing foot down. So I take my hips to my heel, keeping my chest up nice and tall. I push through that balancing leg, and I stand. The closer this toe gets to my hips, the harder it's going to be for this movement. And then if I really want to challenge myself, I'll take this foot and hook it on the back of my heel and my ankle, and that's going to put in just a different type of balance piece to that movement. So depending on how comfortable you are with that foot-assisted pistol, you can add it, you can make it harder, you can make it easier, but again, I want you to work on range of motion first. Before you start making it harder, make sure that range of motion is there, and you can get down below parallel, down to the bottom of that squat. So take your time with that one. It's a great exercise, builds tremendous mobility, strength, all that good stuff in that single leg action. Play with it, have some fun. Quick recap of this work set. We have plank to down dog with toe touch for 3 to 5, laying arm extension for 5 to 10, foot assisted pistol for 5 aside, 2 to 3 rounds. Take that down, have some fun with it, you guys. We're going to talk about our work set coming your way right now. So our workout today is 10 rounds, 15 air squats, plank lean for 2 to shoulder touch for 2, 5 times, repeat 10 times. So the air squat, very standard. It's our regular squat stance. What we're going to do is we're going to get our toes slightly turned out, body standing nice and open. My hips are going to go towards my heels, keeping my chest up nice and tall, and my knees are going to go slightly out so that they track the toes. So we don't have to push them out as much as we would on a sumo, but we do want to push them out a little bit to keep them active and and that can actually help engage our glutes a little bit more than we normally would. So again, we squeeze, we take it down, as deep as we feel comfortable, stand tall, and if you'd like to use a target, you're more than welcome to use a target. Now our next exercise is our plank lean plus shoulder touch for 5 reps. So what we're gonna do, we get ourselves set up in our plank. I pull my ribs and hips in, press my shoulders to the sky. I'm gonna keep this engagement as I lean to my left, lean to my right. I'm gonna go right into the shoulder touch as I pull to the left, touch my shoulder, lean to the right, touch my shoulder, come back to center. That's 1 rep. So if you need to take a moment in between and go, whoo, that's spicy, all right? It is. It's a lot of time under tension in that nice solid plank position. If you feel yourself losing your shoulders, please focus on taking a moment, reset the shoulders, reset the position. I'm gonna show you from the front. So we get set up, ribs and hips, shoulders pressed to the ceiling. I lean to the left for my lean. I lean to the right, and then I lean over to the left, and then I touch. I lean to the right, touch, and I come back through. So we want to make sure that the lean is being initiated through the upper body, and the midsection just follows as one piece the whole time. We want to make sure that we're not swaying through the hips in our lean and keeping our hips square to the floor. So lots of fun there, you guys. Again, we talked about some different ways to approach this, using the squat as a rest and recovery for quality purposes for those plank lean to shoulder touches. You can try and push the squats if you'd like. Heck, you can even make them jump squats if you really want to make a little extra cardio kind of response in there as well. But have some fun with this one, you guys. Check the workout description for some different round options. I'll have some different round options for you. But have fun, work for quality. I'm digging everything you guys are doing, you guys. You guys are making some good decisions on those work sets and having fun with them. So I'd love to see that. See you tomorrow for a little bit more fun. Bye, you guys.